Any veterinarian my age has killed a dog or a cat from vaccines.
Scary, but is it true? There is so much controversy about vaccines and how often your dog, your Chihuahua, should be vaccinated. Some are valid, some are not. That is the purpose of this video and future videos in this series of videos about vaccines. Lily, say hello, Lily. Facts, not fiction and not opinion. Although, at the end of this series, I may tell you what my opinion is for whatever that is worth. I want to make it very, very clear I am not a veterinarian. You should always discuss any health issues that you may have with your veterinarian, and that includes vaccines. It is my hope that after watching the entire series of these videos about vaccines, that you will then be informed enough to have a discussion with your veterinarian and what is best for your Chihuahua when it comes to vaccines, what vaccines he or she needs, and how often they should get them. So tell me, is your Chihuahua up to date with vaccines? Do you know what each vaccine is for? Do all dog breeds, big and small, get the same amount of vaccine, the same number of vaccines? What are core vaccines? What are non-core vaccines? Does my Chihuahua, does your Chihuahua need all of the vaccines? And are there any risks? If so, what are the risks? All of these questions and more are going to be answered in this video and in the upcoming videos in this series on vaccines. So buckle up, because this information is information that your veterinarian probably has never told you, and you have probably never thought to ask. But by the end of this video, you will know what vaccines are for, how they work, and what core and non-core vaccines are. Lily, she is just not the least bit interested in any of this. There, say hi, Lily. Say hi to the camera. Don't look at the ceiling. Hi everyone, my name is Linda. You just met my Liliana, or Lily for short. I am owner and editor of ChiChisandMe.com and of this channel. I also am mom to 4 beautiful Chihuahuas. I've owned and raised Chihuahuas for over 25 years, but not only that, I am so passionate about Chihuahuas that I have done years of study and research on the Chihuahua breed. And what I've learned, I want to share with you so you and your Chihuahua can live the best life ever together. If that sounds like something you're interested in, then please consider subscribing. There is much more important information about vaccines than I can put in one video. So this video is an introduction. It is the beginning of a series of videos on vaccines and an introduction of what you will learn in the upcoming videos in this series. This series of videos will not be consecutive, so be sure and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when the rest of them are uploaded. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe. I'm doing this series of videos because I wholeheartedly believe that every Chihuahua owner should be well informed as to anything that goes into their Chihuahua's bodies, and that includes vaccines. Here's a list of all the things that we're going to learn in this video and in future videos. What are vaccines and how do they work? Most of us trust our veterinarians explicitly, and that's a good thing. We should. And there is no doubt that vaccines have saved many, many lives over the years. I repeat, I am not telling you to stop vaccinating your Chihuahua. But vaccines, like anything else, are not without risks. Most pet owners are really unaware of potential dangers that vaccines can cause. Most of us get a reminder in the mail once a year that it's time for our Chihuahua's annual vaccines. Most of us will then in turn make an appointment to get their Chihuahua's annual vaccines. However, would it surprise you to know that not all veterinarians agree on what those vaccines are, how often you should get them?
Vaccines are important. They clearly have a purpose in terms of preventing disease. But in my opinion, we've given far too many vaccines far too often, ultimately ending with some pretty serious negative consequences.
Veterinarian Art Malerney used to vaccinate dogs every year for 7 diseases until his own dog had a bad reaction.
It's just a wake-up call for me.
Now, he only gives the minimum.
I try to get them fully immunized, and then I tell the client they don't need any more vaccine.
But Dr. Leonard Fox thinks the benefits of vaccinations outweigh any risk.
The concern is over-vaccinating can cause problems in certain dogs, but I think that the problems are greater for the under-vaccinated dogs.
Fox says 90% of the pets at his practice get at least 1 vaccine every year.
Is your veterinarian up to date with all the latest studies on vaccine protocol? Maybe, maybe not. Veterinarians are absolutely necessary for the health of our pets and our Chihuahuas. And most of them really do care about the health of our pets. But when it comes to vaccines, they don't agree. So you can't always depend on their recommendations and what is in the best interest of your Chihuahua. Only you can decide that, and that is why this information is so important for all Chihuahua owners and for all dog owners actually, because this information can apply to any dog breed. So be sure and share all of this information on vaccines with friends and family that have pets. So what are vaccines for? I think since January, March 2020, we have all come to know more about vaccines than we ever wanted to know. But what about dog vaccines? How do they work? Vaccines help your Chihuahua's immune system to defend itself from certain diseases. They contain antibodies that mimic the disease, but without actually causing the disease. So hopefully, if your Chihuahua should become exposed to that disease, his immune system will then kick in and help fight it off, or at least lessen the severity of the disease. But there are other things in each and every vaccine besides the antibodies that you may not be aware of, and we are going to learn in this series of videos. So what are core and non-core vaccines? Core vaccines are those that are considered absolutely necessary for all dogs, and that's because of the risk of exposure to that disease and the risk of transmitting that disease to other animals, dogs, and even to humans. Core vaccines, except for rabies, are not generally required by law, but they are considered absolutely necessary for all dogs. Those core vaccines are canine parvovirus, canine distemper, hepatitis, and rabies. Parvovirus, distemper, rabies, those can be deadly. Non-core vaccines are sometimes referred to as lifestyle vaccines. That's because whether or not they're necessary for your Chihuahua depends much on your lifestyle, the environment that you live in, how likely your Chihuahua is to be exposed to the disease, and so these are considered optional vaccines. And many times they are included with the core vaccines, and they don't tell you that. And so they are given annually to your Chihuahua. Vaccines that are considered non-core are Bordetella or also known as kennel cough, canine influenza, dog flu, leptospirosis, and Lyme disease. Those are considered non-core vaccines. Count those up. If your Chihuahua gets all the vaccines available, core and non-core, if he gets all of those vaccines every year, that's 8 different vaccines that are routinely given to your Chihuahua annually, and they're given generally all at once. And think about this too, the amount of vaccine or the dose is the same no matter the size or the breed. So a Great Dane gets the same amount or the same dose of vaccine as your Chihuahua gets. In the next few videos in this series on vaccines, we're going to discuss 3 questions that you should ask yourself before your next appointment for your Chihuahua's annual vaccinations or booster shots. We're going to answer those 3 questions. And as we continue this series, we're going to go more in depth on each vaccine, what disease it's supposed to prevent, how severe that disease could be. We'll talk about the symptoms of each disease, how likely it is that your Chihuahua may contract that disease. And so now is the time to subscribe and hit the bell so you'll be notified when the rest of this series is uploaded. As I said, they will not be consecutive, so next Wednesday's video will be on an entirely different subject. But that's it for this video. Be sure and hit the bell and watch for the rest of the videos coming up in this series of important information on vaccines. And don't forget to share all of this information with your family and friends with pets, because it can apply not only to Chihuahuas but to all dog breeds. But for now, until we meet again right back here on this channel, my 4 Chihuahuas and I wish you many, many happy Chihuahua tail wags and lots of sloppy Chihuahua kisses. Until next time, bye.